Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Tuesday, March 26th, 2019. And we're reading from the book of the Greatest Miracle in the World by Bandito. We're on chapter 10, which is a pretty short chapter. And so I'll begin reading now, and then I'm sure that we will move into another book. So anyway, here we go. Chapter 10. I believe all office Christmas parties should be abolished. There's just no way to prevent at least one poor soul from trying to work off his or her pin-up expressions or repressions or holiday melancholia in a fit of drinking that either ends up in a scene that they will regret later or climaxes in a fight over someone's right to get into an automobile or kill themselves, or some innocent soul. I know I've acted the fool myself a couple of times long ago. But furthermore, that cold duck leaves permanent scars on office carpeting that no cleaning fluid has ever completely removed. Each year I resolve, usually on the first work day following Christmas, that next year there will be no party in our office. Well, give that foolish spent money to some needy family fund instead, and each year when the committees begin to form to plan the party, I weaken, plead no contest, and allow it to happen again. So I had a couple of drinks and tried to smile through the stillness of the grab bag exchange while someone's record player momentously abused a scratchy version of White Christmas. Then I walked around, patting shoulders and kissing cheeks, feeling like a house detective, constantly reassuring myself that everyone would make it home without any spontaneous motel stops or drunken driving violations. Finally, the wine ran out, and the office emptied swiftly, leaving in its wake a collection of debris that would only be removed if I left a $20 bill for our cleaning man. It was already in a Christmas card propped up on Pat's desk where he wouldn't miss it. I carried my last glass of wine into my office and fell wearily onto the couch, setting the glass into a standing ashtray. The glass I found myself staring at, almost hypnotized. Simon, all those sherry glasses we filled and emptied together. Simon, Simon, where are you? Suddenly I reached a decision and went to my desk. I punched F on my telephone index gadget and found Fred Bell's home phone number. I dialed it. He recognized my voice, and as soon as I said, "Happy holidays," "Ugh, how wonderful to hear from you. How are you? How's the weather in Chicago? We've got snow here. Here has been raining for 2 days. I think Long Island is sinking. So head for Miami." I think it's too late. What's going on with you? We've just had our Christmas party in the office, and you've had a few drinks and got a little sentimental and remembered your old publisher. All that and one more reason. Tell me, I'm ready to do another book. I don't believe what I'm hearing. I was beginning to think you were so busy counting your money and making like Gore Vidal on all those talk shows that there was no time for writing anymore. What do you want to do? What's the book about? I'm not going to tell you. There's no way I can explain it, either on the phone or in person. I'm just going to do it. Does it have a title? Yes, it's The Greatest Miracle in the World. Hey, I like it already. What's the big miracle? Don't ask. Will it be another like The Greatest Salesman in the World? Better. I don't have to make this one up. Okay, Hog. I know better than to push you. You want a contract? No hurry. Whenever you get around to it. Same terms as before? Fine. What should I put down for delivery date of manuscript? Make it January 31st, 1975. That's a year and a month from now. You need that long? Yeah. Very well. Consider it done. What a relationship we have. I wonder how many other publishers contract for books like this without ever knowing what they're buying. Mailer's publisher, Wallace's publisher, Updike's publisher, Fowles' publisher, McConsider's publisher, Harriet's publisher. Merry Christmas, Hog. You too, Fred. Love you. I love you too. It was very dark and still, snowing when I left the office and laid down a roll of footprints all the way to the parking lot. I felt a burning emptiness inside me, and I knew why. Across the lot, I could see the dark shadows of the apartment where I had spent so many happy hours. Its silent hulk, checked here and there, with squares of lights blinking through the falling snow. Right about now, we'd be wishing each other Merry Christmas. A touching glasses and his beautiful voice would be washing over me as he opened whatever silly gift I would have brought. Simon, Simon. I miss you. I miss you very much. I was speaking out loud to the wind and the snowflakes. Then I was fighting back sobs that seemed to start deep in my gut. I felt absolutely alone and lost. Finally, I forced myself to shape up. I had to get home. There was still some shopping to do. Life does go on. I fumbled for my car keys and unlocked the door. As I turned the key in the ignition, I had the sudden, compelling urge for another drink. But I knew what would happen. One would lead to 20, and so matter in how many bars I locked, I wouldn't find Simon. I backed the car and cut it sharply toward the exit gate, its tires crunching noisily on the newly fallen snow. I rolled down my window and reached out to turn my key in the gate release slot. The gate creaked and rose slowly toward the sky. I shifted into drive and accelerated slowly over the small asphalt mount under the gate. The front of my car pointed upward slightly as it reached the crest of the mound, and the headlights' beams swept across a second-floor apartment window that was dark. I blinked my eyes and shook my head. I looked again. My headlight beams had coverage in a single shaft of light on a window box. My God, in the box was a plant, tilting gently in the blowing snow. A beautiful plant, a blue ribbon plant, a red glass geranium. And that's it. That's the end of that story. A little bit about the author since I'm here. Agbandino is the author of 6 books, his greatest series. The Greatest Salesman in the World, The Greatest Miracle in the World, The Greatest Secret in the World, has already sold more than 4 million copies throughout the world in 14 languages. Agbandino was the president of the Success Unlimited magazine for 12 years before he retired in 1976. At the age of 52, he devoted all his time to writing and lecturing. And that's it. That book is finished. So the question is, where's the book that we're going to start? And I know I said it out here somewhere, and that's when one wonders what one has done when he's ready to do the next book. So I might just have to get up and look around because I don't see it. So hold on a second and I'll see if I can lock onto it. All right, this is very so born. It's written by Lyon Phelps. Buscaglia. hear me? That's better. Now you can hear me. As I said, this book is the only way I know how to do this is Buscaglia, Born for Love. It's I found it to be a very interesting book. So for right now, I'm going to read the introduction to this book that we're going to be reading. Introduction. I began each day by listening to the news. I hear the jogger who got mugged in the park, the child wounded by a madman bullet, the husband who strangled his wife in a jealous rage, another municipal scandal, new racial killings, complaints of our bogged down judicial system, and overcrowded prisons erupting in violence. And in spite of this, I eat my breakfast, get dressed, and with renewed determination, secure in my armor of optimism, I face the world as a lover. I know that this may seem naive and perhaps a little simplistic to the cynic, but as far as I can determine, it is the only sensible decision. It is difficult for some people to accept that love is a choice. This seems to run counter to the generally accepted theory of romantic love, which expounds that love is inborn and as such requires no more than to accept it. This theory believes that love is a magical force which frees us from all suffering and solves every problem, that it is in an end unto itself. To a limited extent, there may be some truth to each of these beliefs, but having the capacity to love is not the same as having the ability to love. Love is certainly genetically inscribed, but it needs to be evoked, studied, taught, and practiced if it is to have any real meaning. To date, even our keenest minds, most sophisticated technology have been unsuccessful in unraveling the ways and powers and the mysteries of love. So any talk of love continues to elicit churning intellectual and emotional responses. It is dismissed by some as a disease of self-delusion, an affront to common sense, and an impediment to self-control. At the same time, others celebrating it as the greatest of human values, a direct gift from God, the most powerful and potent life-enhancing human energy, and possibly life's only meaning. Having dedicated myself to the study of love for the past 2.5 decades, you may be sure that I have often been accused of being incurable, hopeless romantic. I don't deny it, but as far as I can tell, this is an advantage, not a deterrent. I may be unsophisticated and gullible, but love has shown the way for a most exciting, full, and wonderful life. I'm still leading with my heart. I have certainly had it messed with from time to time, but I find that the heart heals and the one can function very well with a bruised heart. But I am not so naive as to believe that one can succeed as a lover guided solely by the heartbeat. We also possess a mind. Love can benefit from serious study, analysis, and learning. Choosing to be a lover doesn't prelude common sense, nor does it mean that we check our brains at the door. Those who love relationships are nothing but emotional roller coasters may find that their intelligent intelligence provides a stability influence for a smoother ride. It is an injustice to speak of love at first sight, happy ever aftering, and the unconditional loving as if they were givens to be expected simply because we are human. We continue to resist any notion that love is learned, that it takes great conscious effort to acquire the requisite skills to keep love alive. Rather, the majority of us are prone to wait until we find ourselves despairing, lonely, and overpowered by feelings of hopelessness before we look to a better understanding of love as a possible answer. So we continue to scoff at love, and the result, more loneliness, more aspirins, more high blood pressure, more psychotherapists, more ulcers, more antacids, more breakdowns, more heart attacks, more headaches, more fragility, more impotence, more insomnia, more laxatives, more anorexia, more overeating, more weariness, more boredom, more despair, more suspicion, more drugs, more intoxication, more mistakes, more frustration, more fear, more suicides, more hate, more prejudice, more killings, more prisons, more divorces, more failures, more sadness, more envy, more pain, more violence, more ignorance, more bigotry, more stupidity, more apathy, more tears, and more death. It is my wish that this book can help us out of this dilemma. It offers some thoughts which I hope will elicit serious analysis, stimulate feelings, and eventually lead to actions which encourage change and growth. I have tried to state these ideas simply and hopefully clearly, repeating some of them for emphasis. This book is not intended as a how-to. It is more of a how about. It has no real beginning or end and can be picked up at any point. It is the reader who becomes a personal guide. Though there are innumerable thoughts offered here, they are actually all part of a single concept. Love is not some complex, mystical abstraction. It is something accessible and human, and that we learn through our everyday experience, as often at times of failure as in moments of ecstasy. This book is for students of love, for men and women who are eager to search for the best that life has to offer, and who determine not to die before they have discovered, developed, and released their potential for love. Starting with chapter 1, I guess, it's called Reflections on Love. Love requires effort. Love never dies a natural death. It dies from neglect and abandonment. It dies of blindness and indifference and of being taken for granted. Things omitted are often more deadly than errors committed. In the end, love dies of weariness from not being nurtured. We don't really fall out of love any more than we fall into love. When love dies, one or both partners have neglected it, have failed to replenish and renew it. Like any other living, growing thing, love requires effort to keep it healthy. This is kind of broken down, I think, very interestingly into short segments, so that each time I finish a segment, it's a good place to actually contemplate on what you've heard. The next one, failure in love. There is no failure where love is concerned. To be unsuccessful is not the same as failure. Our disappointment is more likely to provide an opportunity to learn and to grow. If we don't risk loving, we will never fail in love. But much worse, we will also never experience its wonder. As Lloyd Jones assured us, those who try to do something and fail are infinitely better off than those who try to do nothing and succeed. We seem to gain wisdom more readily through our failures than through our successes. We always think of failure as the antithesis of success, but it isn't. Success often lies just the other side of failure. As long as we continue to seek love, some failure is bound to occur. But hurt is a strong impetus for action. When we seek to find the causes of our failures, we always emerge wiser. We gain new alternatives for our old behaviors and acquire new resources for future encounters. This is certainly not failure. Rather, it is the way that produces lasting change. It is the way of insight and growth. It is the way of love. Again, taking a moment to contemplate what has been read. Give it some thought. Think what is being said. The next segment. We come into this world ignorant of love. Some of us leave the same way. Our world remains a mystery, even to the most knowledgeable among us. We often look toward professionals, political leaders, or celebrities for the answers to our problems with life and love, only to be disillusioned by their feet of clay. If we are wise, we discover that our answers come only when we work them out for ourselves. Others may contribute to our understanding, but the acquiring of personal wisdom is always an inside job. No one can do it for us. Additionally, knowledge often comes by way of ignorance. So we should all be challenged and encouraged by what we don't know. I've studied love for the better part of my life, and I'm amazed at how much there is still to learn. Too many of us are born ignorant of love and are content to remain so. There is nothing wrong with making mistakes and nothing having all the answers, so long as we are willing to admit this and strive for personal betterment. Those who think they know it all have no way of finding out what they don't. Again, a moment for contemplation. To seek knowledge, I believe, is the wisdom of growing. Therefore, take heed and remember what has been said. Rigidity and loving. I had a great Buddhist teacher many years ago in Thailand who taught emotional survival with a simple illustration. Be like a bamboo, he'd say. It is strong on the outside, soft and open on the inside. Its roots are firmly planted in the ground and freely intertwined with others for mutual strength and support. The stalk blows freely in the wind, bending rather than resisting. That which bends is far more difficult to break. We sometimes handle frustration and pressure better by yielding to it than attempting to stand firm against it each time it occurs. Things are not usually all good or all bad, all right or all wrong. Life is just not that simple. The answers and solutions we seek usually lie somewhere between the opposites. When we insist on seeing things as only black or white, we are further removed from understanding, further isolated from truth. Giving in does not imply giving up any more than being flexible is a sign of lacking conviction. Most often, by being willing to give a little, we get more than we ever dreamed. Again, to think about what has been said, to open our minds and realize that there is So much in life that needs to be learned by so many, including, guess who? Me. Take a moment to think about what has been read. The next one, which is the agelessness of love. I was walking through a park once with a friend. Though we saw many young lovers as we strolled on our way, my friend made no comment until he encountered two elderly people being rather amorous on one of the park benches. "That's weird," he commented. "They're a little old for that, don't you think?" I find it interesting, and as I grow older, rather appalling, that we regulate romance only to the young. This comes from the false notion that passions cool as we age. Vitality and attractiveness are lost, along with the appetite for love and romance. This is nonsense. Love lasts as long as we draw a breath. In reality, our opinions may have grown, reflecting the accumulation of a lifetime of wisdom. Feelings may have deepened and become even more velvetly and rich with time. But living in love, no matter our age, simply means we have learned to keep our love vital. Aged love, like aged wine, becomes more satisfying, more refreshing, more valuable, more appreciated, more intoxicating. Experienced lovers need only smile in forgiveness at the very young for their incomplete understanding of love and drink fully, contemplating again that love never dies. It lives for all eternity. God created this universe out of love. Wonderful, wonderful things to give thought to. Let's contemplate. Love as a work of art. There are all kinds of artists. A group we should celebrate more are artists of life itself, who use their tools to express the inexpressible. Without a brush, they depict life with bright colors. Without a knife, they sculpt the magic of being. Without a scale, they create music for us all. Without calligraphy, they engage in the dance of life. When we are born, we are each given tools to create a life of beauty. These same tools can be used to perpetuate ugliness, perpetuate ugliness and destruction. But hopefully we will understand at some point in our lives that we can decide to reflect beauty and tangible works of art made with time, chipped from walls, and may be discredited by passing trends. But a life of love lasts forever. So many things to contemplate, so many interesting thoughts that one can sit down and think about. It's amazing what we don't know. It's amazing that at times we lack a desire to want to learn the truth. Let's contemplate. We're already into another segment, and it's called In Love. We may find it better to make allowances rather than make points. The next one, love and self-respect. People need the proper atmosphere in which to grow and discover their distinctiveness. We are indeed fortunate if someone has taken the time to look closely enough to see our unique spark and help us develop our special abilities. I read a story once of the very accomplished members of the Taft family. They were apparently very good at recognizing abilities and specialities in family members. When Martha Taft was in elementary school in Cincinnati, she was asked to introduce herself. She said, "My name is Martha Miles Taft. My great-grandfather was President of the United States. My grandfather was a United States Senator, and my daddy is the ambassador to Ireland, and I'm a brownie." Even when no one else seems to recognize how truly remarkable we are, we always have ourselves, the one inexhaustible resource for positive reinforcement, the one person who will always proudly wave our personal flag. How interesting that we can't seem to get away from our own ego. But sometimes it becomes necessary because if we, shall I say, don't stroke our own ego, we may just let the world outside and around us destroy us. That's why ego, to some degree, is very, very important. Again, shall we contemplate? I'll do one more. I think that's all we'll have time for. But I think we'll find this very interesting and things to consider. Don't wait for love to come to you. Someone once wrote that there is no use waiting for your love boat to come in unless you have sent it out. I am aware that there are many among us who are determined to wait for love. The someday my prince or princess will come. Belief for a few fortunate ones. This might be true. But some of us will wait forever, often until we have become cynical, embittered human beings, too afraid to love, and perhaps even unable to recognize it when it does come. When I was teaching love class, we were once visited by a dog. The dog entered the class fearlessly, wagging its tail and wandering around the seated students, getting all the attention he wanted. And the students, of course, responded with pats and caresses and prompting one of the young ladies in the class to observe dryly. This is so typical of my life. Here I have been hunting all evening with loneliness, and not a person has offered me an understanding torch. A stray dog wanders in, and it's showered with affection. There's something very wrong with that. Maybe it's not so crazy, young man responded. The dog came in and by his actions told us he was open to loving. His message was simple, non-threatening, and clear. You, on the other hand, just sat there, stoically revealing nothing. We're not mind readers. Sometimes you've just got to speak up, or at least give some hits. Quotation. If we want a love message to be heard, it has got to be sent out. To keep a lamp burning, we have to keep putting oil in it. Quoted by Mother Teresa. And I think we will close with that. And let's see if I can. Yeah, I can. I was beginning to wonder if I could get this to work. Woo! My little clips here sometimes don't work. Anyway, I hope everyone has enjoyed it. I think that these readings will be very, very enlightening. And like I said before, something to listen to and contemplate, give it some thought. And with that, I'll say it's a beautiful day, and I enjoy doing these readings. I have succeeded already in reading 3 books so far this year, 2019. And I have to be honest, I've read more books this year than I may have in the last 10. So I find it very exciting and fun, and it's something to leave to prosperity. Let's face it, I am and will not live forever. But my love for all, I hope will never die. Thank you, thank you. We'll see you on Thursday, same place, same time. Hope you all come back, and let's have some fun. Bye-bye for now. Have a great day. Love you all.